Hello everyone, my name is Anthem of Sirens, and before you blatantly say that I copied Sidsnap, just because we talk about similar things does not mean I copied her. That would be like saying anyone who has ever had any opinion on any movie in the world is a copy of Chris Stuckman. The point being, I am reviewing a manga called Ashigei Shoujo Komura-san, or as the English title is known, Ashigei Shoujo Komura-san, or alternatively, Foot Art Shoujo Komura-san. I know Google Translate isn't the best, but come on, I don't have much other resources. I am too shy to ask anyone who knows Japanese what it means. Ashigei Shoujo Komura-san is about a girl named Komurai Komura who comes from a long line of acrobatic family members who specialize in using their feet. Komura is so flexible for feet that she pretty much uses it in literally everything she does in her life. She opens doors with her feet, she writes with her feet, she cleans with her feet, and I am absolutely sure she wipes her ass with her feet. They don't show that last part in the manga, but I have a hunch she does. She meets this cute boy named Yoshio Tsukunaga, who may as well just have a foot fetish since in the first chapter, he is so blushed by the fact he is about to grab a girl's foot and even fantasizes about hugging a giant foot. Hey, different strokes for different folks. I ain't kink shaming, unless... They later start to form a crush for each other after the classic fall down and accidentally grab the girl's boob incident that happens a lot in anime. But instead of grabbing a boob, Komura's foot ends up in Tsukunaga's mouth. According to Komura's family tradition, she now has to marry Tsukunaga because he kissed her foot, even though it looks like he is sucking on her toes. And am I even allowed to show this? Do I have to censor this? Now, I know what you're thinking right now. In fact, I don't even need to explain it. But I'm going to anyway so I can sound smart. This is foot fetish material. Dare I say borderline softcore foot fetish hentai, except it's not hentai, it's a manga that just happens to make certain people horny. And for the frickin' record, I'm not kink shaming unless you like a certain character whom shall not be named. In that case, you deserve to be shamed. This footage is completely unrelated, I just think it's really cool. And I want to put in a video sometime. I mean, you kind of know the manga's intended audience when this happens to be the top review on my anime list. By the way, don't harass this person. I don't encourage such behavior. Going back on topic, this manga makes damn sure that Komura's feet get as much attention as possible. Even in the lewdest parts of the manga, the feet are always the focus. Not just random shots of her standing or sitting, but as I say before, the manga showcases that she nearly does everything, scratch the nearly part, just about everything, with her feet. She writes on the chalkboard with her feet. She delivers a love letter with her feet. She makes food with her feet. And pray to God above, she washes her feet very well in every space occupying her foot. She probably dresses herself with her feet, and I've gone over this before already, but I was just making sure you get the picture. There actually is this one part in the manga where she opens a door with her hand. That's a rare Komura sighting if I've ever seen one. I know I'm already embarrassing myself by admitting I read this and am making a review of this, but come on, I at least still have some dignity left, okay? Internet, please don't bully me. Also, I'm sorry, Mom and Dad. There are even some parts in the manga where she bends and spreads her toes in ways that I'm not even sure are humanly possible. An example of this is this one chapter where she is teaching Tsukunaga how to swim by having him go underwater and displaying the number of toes she is holding up like actual fingers on a human hand. I'm willing to bet she broke some joints when she did that. They even have animals and stuff get all over her feet in some chapters. Like, does foot fetish go that deep? Is that something people are into? Bugs crawling over, like, feet or whatever? Because the last thing I thought about with bugs crawling over people was the scary tunnel in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. They continue to push this further by showing that she sweats with her feet emotionally and even blushes with them. Like, I know people's feet, like, sweat after runs and stuff, but Komura does this on command. At some points, I kind of wonder if this is either an endurance test for people who are disgusted by feet, or a does this make you horny test for people with foot fetishes. Like, there's this chapter where they're in an art class, and Komura's having a hard time in art class and can't use a paintbrush well with her feet, so Tsukunaga suggests that Komura literally paint with her feet, like dipping her feet in like paint and rubbing it on the canvas. Oh, good lord. That was a chapter I really did not like. Either this is the author asking if this makes someone horny, or he could just pull a recent Dan Schneider and be like, what? No, this isn't horny. It's supposed to be funny. Feet are funny. While I read this, I found myself wondering if this was originally meant to be a hentai at some point, or a test to see how much the author could get away with before the censors come stepping on his toes. What, it had to be done? Komura and Tsukunaga aren't the only characters in this manga, otherwise it would be repetitive as heck and only remain a one-shot manga. Side note, the one-shot in my opinion is more lewd than the whole manga itself. I'm now going to be talking about the reoccurring side characters. Other characters include Kiritsu Taigi, the head of the school's moral committee, or as I like to call it, the Future Karen's Club, assuming that meme is still relevant. Basically, she is kind of an uptight conservative-like person where they have to go out of their way to stop anything deemed immoral. According to her, you can't be in lewd positions, even if the context is not lewd, women cannot spread their legs, do not hold hands in public, and the biggest reason for why she is here is to tell Komura that she cannot use her bare feet to do anything. I hope Taigi doesn't discover any Quentin Tarantino movies. She is kind of the Squidward of the manga, hating the protagonist and wanting to stop their antics and such, but does come around to liking Komura-san as a friend later on. Oh, and I forgot to mention she embarrasses herself too. And to reemphasize my point about liking Komura later, there is even a chapter where she needs Komura's help with drumming regardless if she uses her feet or not. We also have Saki-san, a former model with an army of simps, and she pays them with photos of her that range from cute to lewd. She becomes friends with Komura, possibly to use her feet to make money from the foot fetish market, and she might just have a foot fetish? What did I get myself into? Like, she could potentially take over the world with her business mindset and her army of simps. There is even a chapter where Saki is helping a maid cafe get more visitors, so she makes Komura dress as a barefoot maiden to serve everyone with her feet, and this in turn gets more visitors. Like, I know feet are like one of the most common fetishes out there, but holy crap, Komura must have something going on with her feet that makes everyone want to grab a toe. Our other character worth noting is Lulu, a rich girl who is talented at dancing and develops a crush on Tsukunaga. Her crush is so strong that she grows jealous of Komura, not just of all the attention she is getting, but also because she claims Tsukunaga as her own. She even wants to be the best at everything with her feet, so she starts like training to do everything with her feet out of jealousy, and she even tries to claim Tsukunaga deserves her with this scene in which she sticks her foot repeatedly in his mouth over and over again just to mock Komura. She's not even barefoot, like she literally has tights on fully covering her foot. This may be the most unnecessary thing you'll ever hear in your life, but I'm just gonna say it anyways. In a foot fetish competition, the fully barefoot always wins. But for real, I've like never heard of a rivalry starting over whose feet is the best. Like, dang, it's a war of the degenerates over here. There's even a chapter where Tsukunaga has to be Lulu's temporary butler and help her train with her feet, which I'm pretty sure is just a PG-13 rated version of a porn plot, but the end of that like arc or whatever you call it, it does get kind of interesting as Tsukunaga does reunite with Komura, and I'm not going to spoil it, or maybe I should spoil it because maybe people will read this or maybe people will not read this. I don't know. I don't freaking know. There is also Komura's mom. She is nice and can do much more for feet, such as knowing what the weather will be by sticking her foot outside, feeling people's heartbeat and blood pressure of her feet, and at this point, this is just someone's fantasy. It's not mine, though. There's also this one panel where Komura's mom literally puts her foot near Tsukunaga's crotch, which isn't supposed to be, you know. If you haven't already noticed, I've talked so much about the recurring side characters that I haven't even talked about the main characters a lot. Well, except for Komura's feet, if that's considered a character. And to be honest, there really isn't much to our main cast other than Komura is obsessed with doing everything with her feet. There isn't really much to her except she's just a normal girl with a crush. And Tsukunaga is just your average high school boy who happens to like feet. Nice guy tries to show his support and affection for Komura. And I'm not saying that like the side characters are 10 times more deep than like the main cast. Honestly, the whole cast just feels kind of generic, like, you know, stereotypes you've already seen in other anime. But in my opinion, the side characters are more to write home about, honestly, than the main leads. And now to talk about the art. The art itself is pretty well drawn. Komura and the other female characters look nice. Tsukunaga looks like a Beyblade character wearing a fancy suit. The whole thing kind of reminds me of Lupin the Third a bit. Even the female background characters seem to be more detailed at times than the male ones. Not that I'm trying to imply something here. Some people just draw girls more than guys. And because it feels necessary, I have to make note of the feet while we're talking about art. Komura's feet, along with everyone else's feet, are mostly well drawn. They look real enough at times, but other times, especially looking in different perspectives, they can come across as really off-putting or slightly unnaturally deformed. Like, even some of Komura's foot motions can be off-putting. Well, look at me, criticizing how some random guy draws feet when I can't even draw good enough myself. That and also feet are actually pretty hard to draw, as I heard from some of my artist friends. My favorite chapters in the manga were probably the sports festival near the end, because it was just nice to see Tsukunaga and Komura working together, even with some wacky shenanigans. I also liked the chapters of Komura's mom. She's hot, okay. And I also liked the last few chapters, not because the manga was inherently terrible and I am glad it's over, but just kind of felt a bit sad seeing Tsukunaga and Komura being separated, and when they reunite it's kind of nice, heartwarming, but a bit weird in a way that can only make sense in this manga. My least favorite chapters were the Chinese soba noodles chapter, the bento lunch one, the library chapter, the art class chapter, and the hot springs one. There's also a chapter I didn't really like where they show a story of Komura as a kid, and if someone has said that is their favorite chapter, that's a little suspicious. Hold up. Aside from that, that chapter just feels genuinely pointless and only exists to show that Komura can intimidate animals by making a pose, yet there already exists a chapter where she's making shadow puppets of her feet before that one, and she's kind of also intimidating animals and attracting them as well. So it's like, why was this here? So, in conclusion, is this manga good? Well, it does its job well of what it set out to do, and that it's a rom-com with feet, but is it worth going out to look for? Well, not really. Aside from the gimmick of being foot fetish material, there isn't really much this can stand out to do, other than say one moment that happens between the romantic rival and Tsukunaga. But honestly, there isn't really much to it, not really a lot to salvage. Like, I can only recommend this to someone if they are like really into feet, or they're just desperate for some rom-com with some slight ecchi, assuming they're not grossed out by feet. Oh, screw you, Anthem! You are just a cringe, uncultured normie! All this needs is feet and it wins! This manga is perfect for men of culture like me! Bro, you have a crippling porn addiction. If I were to rate this whole thing, I'd say maybe in a 2.5 out of 5, or maybe a 3 out of 5 if I'm in a good mood. I'm also kind of stuck between the two. There are some things I did enjoy, and there were some things I thought were a little too weird and just too like, what the heck is this? And if I had hated it, I would have probably never made this video or never finished the manga, but I guess what kept me going is to read, is just see how weird or how far they can push the envelope for this, or see how much boundaries they can really step through before being labeled as hentai. Or I just need a leg to stand on so I can show that I'm a valid critic who can review things properly. Komura-san is a manga with a weird gimmick that some people will hate by concept alone, or others will be really into it, but moving aside that, there is not really a lot worth salvaging. It's just alright. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching all the way through. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to step on the like button, and if you disliked it, feel free to kick the dislike button. And if you want to see more inconsistent content by me that's very weird, uncharacteristic, or just whatever goes, then be sure to stomp on that subscribe button, and it really helps the channel grow. And if you want, comment down below what you thought of this manga, what you thought of this review, or whatever. Anything kind of goes. My name is Anthem of Sirens. Thank you once again for watching this video, and I hope to see you next time.